Cannabis Culture, the preeminent voice of cannabis, run by proprietors Marc and Jodie Emery. Marc, as you might know, has always advocated for freedom against censorship, and that has born Cannabis Culture, Pot TV, among many other things. Jodie Emery takes us through what's happening on the ground. So I'm literally here at Cannabis Culture headquarters with Jodie Emery.
Well, thank you for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We got a store, we got a lounge. Pot TV is also housed here.
Yeah, cannabisculture.com, our massive online identity. We do media, news, a very small team producing a lot of content, and we've been documenting this for decades. So the movement has grown rapidly, and we're here to cover it through that. But we also have created the first vapor lounges for people to gather and consume marijuana, and that's been happening for a number of years. So we have the model for Cannabis Culture Lounge and Cannabis Culture retail stores selling vaporizers, bongs, and the like, but hopefully when legal in Canada, we'll be selling marijuana legally too.
Excellent. And there is really a kind of awesome feeling here at HQ. Yeah, you have this gigantic digital presence. I mean, you've been doing it forever. Take us through where you are now, where you're going.
Well, my husband, Marc Emery, long before I was ever even around, he was an activist for freedom against censorship, and marijuana magazines and books like High Times were illegal in Canada, and Marc smuggled them into Canada and started publishing them. When he came to Vancouver, he decided to start publishing his own magazine similar to High Times, and it was called the Marijuana and Hemp Newsletter. It was printed on hemp paper, which became very costly, but he financed all this by selling marijuana seeds, which, as he's known for, funded millions of dollars of activism, and the Marijuana and Hemp Newsletter turned into Cannabis Canada magazine, which then evolved further into Cannabis Culture magazine, and we were the second biggest marijuana magazine in the world. But with the big economic crash in 2008 and Marc facing prison time in America for his activism conducted here in Canada, we couldn't continue the print publication, which broke a lot of people's hearts, but we still are very strong online and keep continuing to grow.
And what is the centrifugal force, do you think, of, yes, we all kind of keep up with it, but from the producer's perspective, what's the centrifugal force? What drives it forward?
Right now, we're actually inundated with so much happening in the marijuana world, so much happening even with media. Pot TV, when that was created by Marc in 2000, was the second video website on the internet, along with CBC television here in Canada. So video websites online, that was pioneered by Marc Emery, and plenty of people had their first online internet video experience through Pot TV. 2006 comes along, YouTube, everybody can make videos, and of course digital media has very much put mainstream media in a tight spot, and it also makes for a lot of competition. Online magazines, even print magazines, you can find dozens and dozens easily about marijuana, but there are also different little niche areas coming out. There's people focused on hemp, those on medical marijuana, there are just the financial side, there's government regulations, there's so many ancillary businesses and sort of areas of interest. So here we are an activist-owned business. Cannabis Culture, Pot TV, started as Hemp BC with Marc Emery long ago, and that's well documented too. But we've created a model that many others have followed. Marc literally helped others follow. And now this industry has become so massive, it's worth billions of dollars. And even 10 years ago, when Marc was arrested in Canada by the DEA, he was still the only person giving money to the movement anywhere in America, Canada. And then thankfully others have stepped forward. But money matters, and the industry with respect to media and selling of marijuana is going to continue to grow. There's a massive demand. Clearly the amount of supply shows that demand is there and it's worth money. But money can be used to create jobs and creative revenue for a lot of people. We can use marijuana to create a whole new green industry and allow a lot of people to finance their lives and finance the social services we need. We're seeing that being proven day in and day out in America where they've managed to legalize it. So Money makes a difference. You need money to do anything good in the world. All charities rely on money. Any sort of political actions and activities need money to thrive. That's why Marc started selling seeds and started political parties and campaigns and funded ballot initiatives that legalized medical marijuana in many U.S. states. That money was essential. Everyone needs it. So when we create this massive industry, a lot of people will get into it, but that means there's winners and losers. And when you're a pioneer, you can still become a dinosaur. So there's a lot of potential for newcomers to do an incredible job and push out a lot of the people who really laid the groundwork. So here in cannabis culture, we have a massive following, a lot of goodwill. People come from all over the world, and this building has a great energy and a vibe. So much has happened here, so much groundbreaking history. Even the lawyer who just won in our Supreme Court of Canada to have edibles legal as medical marijuana. He was brought here 10 years ago by Marc, trained and put through law school with seed money, and is now changing our world here in Canada for patients, and has been doing so for years. So
right. For our financial listeners, the other type of seed money, right?
Yeah, exactly. There you go. And that's true. It's so true, though. I mean, and when we have a lot of people in the business industry who have no connection to marijuana coming in, they bring with them the expertise about how to run a business. And when they meet up with the activists and the people who have been growing underground for a long time, together with that combined knowledge, they can create business for everyone. And I'm excited. We need capitalism. Capitalism is essential. We all depend on making money to live and survive. Unless you want to go live in the jungle, I guess you don't need to. But for most people, we need money to survive. And jobs are not bad, and capital is not bad. And when we bring together business and activism and policy, we can create the best sort of situation. I must say, though, when it comes to money, we should all have a free shot, a fair free market should really be open to all with no monopolies or favoritism. So while I applaud Canada moving towards having big business sell marijuana, I don't like that they still want to continue criminalizing others, because it should be a fair game. Anybody can do it, and that will get us to good places.
There we go. And it's kind of like, let's pick one way to go with this, you know?
Yeah, and there are many different models, and that's what's exciting, is that in this new world, it's kind of like a gold rush, except there were already people with that gold before. I mean, the industry has already existed, and now we're seeing a lot of people coming in with conflicting ideas, but the goal should remain the same, that everyone should be free from prison, free from criminalization, and allowed to have a job and make money from marijuana. That's just the goal.
There you have it. And speaking to that, you brought it up. Let me bring it up again. Talk to the Supreme Court ruling.
Well, our Canadian medical marijuana laws have been created by people breaking the law to provide medical marijuana or grow it, going to court after getting arrested, and having the courts agree that medical marijuana is necessary and needs to be provided. With the back and forth over many years, the government has fought, the Harper Conservative government has fought consistently against every decision in our favor, in favor of patients and producing marijuana and providing it. And medical marijuana has finally been allowed through the federal government, and it used to be something you could grow yourself or assign someone to grow for you, but the federal government got rid of that program and now ask people to only buy it through their designated providers. But they also insist that medical marijuana only be smoked. No hash, no brownies, no tinctures, oils, and of course that doesn't make sense for sick people to be forced to inhale combusted medicine. So the Supreme Court victory just says that there are patients who are having their liberty denied to them because of the prohibition on edibles and consumable extracts. So this is a fantastic win in one sense, but there's still many more challenges ahead. The government isn't legalizing marijuana anytime soon, so we need a different government. We need to have people get out on October 19th and vote for hopefully the Liberals or the NDP to get anyone in there to get rid of the Conservatives who are obstructing the business side of things.
Is there a better option, you know?
Canada has such a crummy political situation. Our Prime Minister has more power over the country than the President of America does in his. And whatever the Prime Minister says goes, especially with majority government. And this Harper government, he does not like me, he doesn't like Marc, he doesn't like marijuana, and again, we are going to have challenges with him because our whole political system and even the way people are voting and the information about voting is all being challenged and changed, and there was voter fraud last time they were found guilty of. So Canada's system is fairly broken, but seems most political systems are in need of reform. And in this situation, we just need people to get out and vote for anyone, because the potential for a coalition government exists, or a minority government, and that is slower government, but I think that's kind of important when so many things get rushed through without proper due diligence, which is what their job is.
Sure, and we've adopted slower food, so why not slower government?
Exactly. Everyone should just chill out. Slow it down, relax, and enjoy.
Well, perfect. I think that we just, said that we were going to have Cannabis Economy right here at headquarters, so we're very excited.
Excellent.
Should we call this part 1 and call that part 2?
Absolutely.
Right?
I'm always here to talk. I'm always willing to chat, and there will be changes ahead because happening tonight and right now, the city of Vancouver is having hearings on opening or making regulations for pot shops. That's the first time in Canada it's ever happened. Mm-hmm. It's significant. Vancouver has about 90-something dispensaries, way above and beyond anywhere else in Canada. But this is a model we hope to set a precedent for everyone else in the country to follow for the regulation of the sale of marijuana.
Where do you think we are in that conversation?
That decision should come sometime, probably the next couple of weeks. To be honest, they have 190 some odd speakers signed up. They can only get through about a dozen and a bit every night. So it's going to be a while, but all of this conversation is fantastic. It's explaining all sorts of details and facts about marijuana and why it should be accepted and why the harms are exaggerated and why overregulation is always bad for every industry. There's a lot to be said, and our city is hearing all of the information. The councillors are asking great questions, and I feel very positive. The city's been on our side with respect to being tolerant to marijuana, so I hope it continues to go that way.
Absolutely, and we know that. Talk about the relationship between Vancouver and the national government.
Yes, the federal government is very, very, very mad at Vancouver City Hall for allowing this to happen. But we know from polls, from experts in terms of policy and legislation, police, law enforcement, health, everybody knows marijuana should not be illegal anymore. It's kind of a done deal. The argument is finished. There aren't many people fighting against it. But it comes down to actually getting it legal at the federal level, and the federal government, the party in power, the Conservatives, does not want to change the law. But all we need is a federal government to agree to remove Canada from the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, and we would no longer
That sounds familiar to we in America.
Oh, right, sorry, yes, it's the CSA, sorry, Controlled... yeah, that's right, pulling up the... We're kind of one country anyway, right?
Yeah, right.
But the point is, it can be easily done, it can be easily changed, and we just need a different federal government to do it. But in the meantime, just like in America, it's not legal federally, but we've seen through decades of activism that from the ground up, grassroots effort, if you will, small local governments and organizations have worked to set models that go up the chain, and provincial and regional, as it gets higher and higher, they talk to each other. And here in Canada, we've got a great city government, we've got a so-so provincial government, and we've got all the public favor on our side. So I just think it takes a bit of time, but it definitely takes pressure and requires work, because the job isn't over yet. We have prohibition still in place, and we need liberty and access for everybody, sick, healthy, everyone who needs it. That's the goal.
There you go. And you got, as you say, a pretty big goal, so we're going to let you get back to work.
Excellent. Thanks
Jodie,
so much.
thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
All right. Jodie Emery giving us a great overview of what's happening at Cannabis Culture Now, the history of the organization, if you will. Also, some background on Pot TV and the innovation there. Marc and Jodie doing so much for the industry to cover it, and happy to have a few moments with Jodie.